Hey Space Cats, it's me Jules. Wherever you are in the world, you might have noticed a bit of a change in the season. Here in the Northern Hemisphere, it's just starting to feel quite autumnal. That tang of slight earthiness in the air in the mornings and the dew on the grass gives us a little bit of a sign that something is around the corner. And although the trees are still full of leaves, there's also plenty on the ground. There's something about the turn of autumn this year that has made me feel really excited, and genuinely excited, not the fake YouTube, I'm so excited to bring you this video kind of excited, but actual excitement and joy at looking at things beginning to change, and the blackberries in the bushes and all of the things in my garden that are starting to harvest, like the pumpkins. And I just felt like I wanted to grasp the creative metal and make some things that make me feel cosy and autumnal. So today I'm going to be making something, and I'll show you what it is in a minute. But I've also made a few other things, and these are some of them. So thanks to the range, and if you are in the UK you'll probably find them in your local range, I'm going to be making a gunk. Yep, a gunk. This is the project that I'm going to be working on today. It's a make your own gunk. When you look inside the box, you find lots of little pieces and some helpful instructions, and I'm just going to be loosely following these because when I did the mice, I found that it wasn't as helpful as I was hoping they would be. So I'm going to use my sewing knowledge and skills for creating all of this. These are the legs, these are the arms, these are the little hands, and the beard. I think what we're going to start with is sewing together the body. So this is the main body and the base. I've handed over to VoiceOver Jules, because it turns out I can't sew and make sense at the same time. The curve nearest me is the base, so I had to sew the legs in first, upside down. This will all make a sense in a minute. Oh, just to clarify, the legs are upside down, I am the right way up, mostly. Next, sew backstitch down the centre back seam. This stitch is much sturdier because you go back on yourself, as the name suggests. When the needle comes through, go back to where the previous stitch came out from and start there. Make a gap big enough so that you can repeat all of this. And that's what it looks like from both sides. Not the neatest of stitches, but it will stop my gunk's innards from falling out, and that is never a good look in my opinion. I sandwiched the circle with the legs as the filling and pinned it in place. I don't know about you, but the more something looks finished, the less I like pinning and sticking needles in it, just in case it becomes sentient and starts feeling pain. At least this guy doesn't have any eyes. Ugh. Same thing as the centre back seam, I'm backstitching all around the circumference. Now I can turn him the right way out, and you can see why his legs have to be sewn in upside down. Now the seam doesn't show. I found this knitted material a little bit frayable, or friable maybe, so if you get one of these, just handle it carefully, otherwise the legs or arms will unravel and you'll have social services knocking on your door. I ought to mention too that the instructions kept calling for things to be glued. No, I said, I shall not use glue. This is a sewing project. Am I being a bit too precious over this? I stuffed him with some beans that had been supplied, but honestly you could use actual beans or rice or lentils, and then some cloud material. I don't know how they bagged up cloud. It wasn't wet and it didn't evaporate, so well done whoever made these, you're a genius. Then it was the funny little hands, and you'll see why they're funny very soon. I backstitched the curved bit, leaving the straight edge open. With the right sides together, I put the hand inside the arm and stitched the wrist. It was a bit fiddly. A pair of tweezers is really helpful to do things like this. And then once the right sides were out, I stuffed them with some more cloud. Here's the slightly awkward bit. I'm sure I don't need to point out that it has a rather unfortunate shape, and there's two of them. Orcs! But once in situ they take on a different persona, and now they look like arms. Stitch it in place and flap it up and down. It says to fold over the hat hem and do a running stitch, but I thought this was too boring, so I grabbed some gold thread that I had, spent 10 days trying to thread the needle, and then did some crossed stitches. You have to come from behind and then put the needle in diagonally so that you have a diagonal line. And now from behind, and this is the tricky bit, bring the needle up to make the start of the other diagonal line. It looks good on the outside and a little bit messy on the inside, but we're not going to see that once the brain surgery has been done and the hat is on the body. I backstitched up that hat back seam, the centre back, and I turned it the right way out and I stuffed it. I had to use the point of my scissors to make sure the point was properly pointy. If you do this, make sure you don't go through the fabric. And now to attach the hat to the body. I made sure that the back seams were aligned and I pinned it all in place. And then I did a sort of invisible stitching, and you can only see this if you look underneath the hat. It doesn't matter too much because the beard is going to be hiding this anyway. The majority of the stitch was on the grey part or through the arm, and then I'm just hiding a lot of that stitching that comes out through the brown as teeny tiny stitches, and then making bigger loops in that grey bit. I had lots of stuffing left over, so I stuffed his legs. It doesn't say to do this, and actually the picture, his legs are quite floppy, but I thought, why not? I also sewed round his shoes and stuffed them and added them to the legs. And now the instructions say glue the beard on, and I said no, I shan't. I know it's a bit pedantic, but I wanted to really enjoy the process, so I sewed it on with a little bit of a hem underneath, and then I sewed his nose on. To be honest, I felt really bad about this bit and wondered if it hurt. He might be slightly traumatised by this, but well, he seems okay now. The kit came supplied with these not very exciting looking fake leaves. I went outside my studio and I found some actual leaves, but they were a little bit too brown, so I whipped out my brush pens and oranged up the sycamore seeds. It was a little bit tricky to sew these on without breaking them, as they were quite brittle, but I think it looks better than the fake printed ones. And here he is in all his glory, with his little mouse chums. I actually really love him, and I'm pretty sure he'll be living with me forevermore. So don't be afraid to make your craft fit you a bit more. I encourage you to make or buy something this month and have a crafty afternoon. It's so soothing and calming that I might have to make some more pumpkins out of fabric I have knocking around. Next week it's back to painting, woohoo! I have a couple of great images drawn out that I can't wait to get cracking on. Thanks for your company. If you liked this and you have a random thumb, give me a like and subscribe for the ride. Nanu nanu. Hey folks, if you are as excited about books and art as I am, then you might be interested in these courses that will teach you what I know. Make a Picture Book Step by Step will help you go about writing, illustrating and publishing your own picture book. It's a comprehensive course, starting with making your key decisions, and takes you all the way to making your print-ready copy. Do you need to know how to draw children, or dragons, or sea creatures? These shorter classes will help you do just that. Pop over to my website and see what's on offer. Go on, give it a go.